Hello, my name is Lincoln Alexander, and I would like to welcome you to this training session. I'll be your guide for this lesson on how to utilize the Meridian Enterprise Test Assistant on our Enterprise Data Management Solution platform. In this lesson, I'll give you an introduction and overview of the Meridian Enterprise Test Assistant, or as we call it, Meta. After you've been introduced to our product, I'll cover how it works, the gathering and use of data for testing, test execution, and impact analysis. To close out our session, I'll demonstrate a few examples of scenarios pre-recorded. Now we've properly set the expectation for this training session, let's begin. Meta is a module within the EDMS platform to perform automated testing of scenarios pre-recorded. It combines data selected within a test execution during your pre-recording of test scenarios. When an automated test submission is performed, a pre and post scenario is created to perform regression testing and analysis against a configured designated environment. This training session is typically attended by developers, QA and/or test members, a release manager, and system admins. We're not limiting this training to only these groups of people, but they are typically users of this product. Our meta solution combines many discrete processes into a single comprehensive workstream. Without the meta solution, your organization may have to use different products from several software vendors to achieve the same type of outcome that Meta delivers. Without getting too technical about how Meta works, I'll explain using a stepped approach of what's happening under the hood. In step one, Meta provides a tool for your organization to capture, record, and store a test script scenario. During the step one recording, step two is automatically initiated to capture a data selection criterion and the data used for your recording. The first two steps is part of a source activity. Now we can move on to the target activities. Step 3 involves data replication using the data and selection criteria captured from steps 1 and 2. Meta stages the data replicated before performing the script execution. At the conclusion of script execution, an impact analysis is performed. But I'll go into more detail later in this training session. As you can see in the top right corner, we have a screen capture of our adapter from within a CRM system. This adapter is integrated with Meta to capture the test script template name and the test scripts performed. Even though our adapter is easy to use and intuitive, we only anticipate business analysts or testing specialists to record the scenarios. Not all organizations have existing test scripts, but if you do, it's a great starting point for recording your scenarios. We typically recommend sticking with a naming convention which uses a combination of functional area, business process, customer types, etc. You can go on and on. A user will mainly enter a template name and click the Start Recording button. Once the test script is complete, the user will click the Finish Recording button or can cancel the recording if they're not happy with the steps performed. Meta stores your recorded inventory of test scripts for simplified maintenance and subsequent automated test submission within EDMS. In the background of script recording, I mentioned earlier step 2 was data selection. Meta creates a profile called predefined conditions or PDCs based on the data selected and used during your script recording. Meta profiling your data will allow the system to retrieve similar data for replication before test execution. In sync with your test template name, the PDC or predefined condition will use the same name. Let me give you an example. We record a business process to set up a residential customer on budget. The meta adapter will make note that the current account selected for creating the residential budget plan is, in fact, a residential account. Along with the customer class, various attributes about the customer information and potential address information is added into the profile. Any predefined condition can be customized to contain more or less criteria. In the case of wanting to substitute values, assertion rules can be used. In order to provide the impact analysis, a pre and post data footprint is created. Meta uses the captured data as the pristine baseline, then replicates two copy versions for a pre and post test execution. The pre and post are identical twins with the exception of the unique IDs assigned by your CRP system, and if used, the data tags. The pre-data doesn't change during test execution, but Meta uses post-data to perform the test steps execution. In the end, the pre and post are used by Meta for the impact analysis. I'll go into more detail later in this training session. Meta uses an iterative approach for the test script executions. The swim lanes represent test iterations over time. Iteration 1 was a copy of your pristine recorded data and outcome. Let's say a configuration is changed and introduced, and we want to verify our business process yields the same results. In iteration 2, test execution is performed, and the outcome is analyzed with iteration 1. The impact analysis report summarizes the results. So let's say we're moving on. More time has passed, which has introduced code and configuration changes into the system. As a business, we use Meta and now we have iteration 3, but the impact analysis reports a failure based on the outcome from the previous iteration. As a good segue from the previous slides, data staging plays an integral part in the process. Meta stages the replicated data into a selected target environment during the replication process. Earlier, I mentioned the pre and post data. This information is staged for every test iteration. To explain in more granular details, iteration 1 will stage a copy, the pre I mentioned, of the original pristine data. Next, iteration 1 will perform the script step executions against the pre-version of data in our target environment. As the world turns, changes are applied to your system. Meta automated test submission is initiated. Iteration 2 is launched and stages a copy, the post that I mentioned, of the original pristine data. Next, iteration 2 will perform the same script step executions against the post version of data in our target environment. Since the pre and post had the same inputs, they should have the same results. But when they don't, the delta is logged in the impact analysis report for your review. All of our previous slides have led us to the test script execution. The test script execution is performed in a target environment, which could be the same or a different from the source environment capturing the pristine data. Remember, the role of the source environment is to supply the pristine data to be used as the basis for replicating copies of pre and post data staged in the target environment. The script execution will trigger the target CRM application server to execute each test script step as a virtual user. By using the application as a virtual user, all downstream business processes, customizations, and even algorithms will be triggered as a result. At the conclusion of each test script step, Meta performs an impact analysis. The overall goal of regression testing is to monitor and gauge the impact of changes to your CRM system. The quality controls needed to monitor and keep our mission critical systems working efficiently requires impact analysis whenever changes are made. You've heard me mention the pre and post quite a few times during our training session. Meta defines the pre as the execution before a system modification and the post as after a system modification. From the beginning, we've talked about the impact analysis report. The report highlights the steps in three distinct colors: green, yellow, and red. Green indicates a successful test run and or step. Yellow represents a delta found between the pre and post outcomes. It's a difference that the business should definitely review. Red flags a test run and or step to indicate a failure. Allow me a moment to show you a screen capture of a test script execution result. As displayed on the second row, a unique case ID is created for each test case run. Next, we display the name of the test script template, then the account number used. Each subsequent line of rows beneath the case ID displays each step number, a label, the action performed within your system, and the impact analysis. Now that we've completed the theory portion of Meta, let's see how to use the system. I'll demonstrate a script recording, data selection rules, test execution, and impact analysis report.